Okay, so we are on page 3 of the Chemistry in Bio pack. We're going to talk about how we find our number of protons, neutrons, and electrons today, and you're going to do some practice with that. So let's start up here. We're going to start by looking at this. This is like what you would see on the periodic table. So like if you looked at page 3 in this packet, page 2, we're on page 3. If you look at page 2, you would see these blocks on the periodic table. What would this number up top be? Yeah, very good. It's the atomic number. Okay? What would this O be? The symbol. Good. When we see the full word oxygen, what's that going to be? The element name. And what's this last one going to be? Like 15.999. That would be the what? Mass. Very good. Now let's complete these sentences here. The atomic number equals the number of blank or blank. So what does this atomic number tell us the number of? Think about your subatomic particles. Which subatomic particles does that tell us the number of? No. What are our 3 subatomic particles? Protons, what? Protons, neutrons, and electrons. So the atomic number tells us what? The number of what? Protons and neutrons. Not neutrons. You're correct with protons. Very good. Electrons. Because what was that one thing that I told you that was really important? All atoms are what? It was what I made you guys write down on the paper. I said all atoms are neutral. Very good. So however many positives they have the same amount of negatives. So the atomic number equals the number of protons or electrons. So this number up here tells us the number of protons and electrons. The atomic mass equals the number of blank plus blank. So how do we get the atomic mass? What 2 give us the mass? Where did I tell you all the mass is in a atom? In the nucleus or outside of the nucleus? In the nucleus. So which 2 subatomic particles are in the nucleus? Which ones are in the nucleus? Which ones are in the center? Very good. Protons and neutrons. So if I want to get my mass, I have to add protons plus neutrons. So the mass equals protons plus neutrons. The atomic number tells me the number of protons or electrons. So if I know like the atomic mass and the atomic number, I can figure out my number of protons, neutrons, and electrons. And that's what we're going to work on today. So let's look at this one right here. We're going to start with O, number 8. What does that symbol stand for? You guys worked on that yesterday. Okay, very good. Plus the fact that it's right above there, so there's no reason why you shouldn't know that one, right?
Exactly. Yeah, but I don't think okay.
What is the atomic number of oxygen? Okay, so the atomic number is 8. We're going to round this because our atomic mass is because we're going to need to subtract. So what would 15.999 round to? 16. So we're just going to round it to 16. So what's my atomic mass? 16. And we're going to round because we can't get like a decimal point for our number of neutrons. So how many protons do I have? Yeah, I have how many protons? 8. I have 8 protons, and I know I have 8 protons because what's my atomic number? 8. And my atomic number tells me the number of protons. But if I know the number of protons, what else do I know the number of? Electrons. So 3 numbers will always be the what? Same. What 3 numbers are going to be the same for when we are looking for the atomic number, the electrons, and the protons? Very good. Now I need to figure out my number of neutrons. So this one actually involves a little work, but I like how these are started for you guys to start to learn these. To get my number of neutrons, I need to take my atomic mass minus my number of protons, and that gives me my number of neutrons. So 16 minus 8 is, so how many neutrons do I have in this case? 8. Let's try this one here. So zinc, what is the symbol for zinc? What kind of Z? Again, that's one you need to know. So what's the N look like?
No.
Lowercase. What's my atomic number? 30. What's my atomic mass? Yep. So what's my protons? We did. Because this is a 0.3, so we're just gonna, we would drop that, right? It wouldn't round up, it's just gonna stay the same. So we're at 65. How many protons do I have? 30. How many electrons do I have? How do I find my number of neutrons? Okay, how? 65 minus 30, so it's 35. Very good. Okay, now I want you to flip. We're going to work on the rest of these in class. You're going to work on finishing these, but I want you to flip to the last page. I want you to flip to page 5, and I'm going to help you with the top of page 5. So it says, draw 5 protons in the nucleus of the atom. Label them with their charge. So what's the easiest way that I could do that? There were, what was that? Well, I told you guys that there was a way to represent protons. Protons have what kind of charge? Positive, negative, or neutral? Positive. So what could I put in the nucleus? Can that represent my proton? Yeah. So how many do I need? So we're going to put 5 protons in here. Draw 6 neutrons in the nucleus of the atom. So how could I do that? I could put an N. Okay. Draw 2 electrons in the first energy level and label them with their charge. So this is the first energy level. How can I do an electron? Say it louder. A negative. Draw 3 electrons in the second energy level. The first energy level can only hold 2 electrons before it's filled, and you move to the next one. So now we have 5 protons in the nucleus, 5 electrons outside the nucleus. If you look back at your periodic table on page 2, what element is this? What do you have to look at? How do you know what element this is? What are you looking at? The number of what? Protons. How many protons do you have? So where are you looking on the periodic table?
4.
Very good. You're looking at number 5 on the periodic table, which is boron. We just did this part here, so you guys should know how to fill this one out on your own, right? How would you figure the number of protons or electrons in an atom? We just talked about that. It's the what?
Protons and
How do you find your number of protons or electrons? You look at the what? Not the atomic mass, the atomic number. So this is the atomic number. How would you figure out the number of neutrons in an atom? What do you need to use there? The atomic what? Well, you do need to know your number of protons, but you would, in order to get your neutrons, you take what minus what? The atomic what? The atomic mass minus what? Yep. Which is also the number of what? Number of, there you go, number of protons. So if I know all that, I can do this chart. Even if I don't have certain information, I can fill in this chart because of what we do know. So if my element is lithium and its atomic number is 3, how many protons do I have? 3. How many electrons do I have? I know my atomic mass is 7 and my protons are 3, so how many neutrons do I have? 4. Let's jump down to this one here, silicon. I don't have an atomic number, but I don't have a mass number, but I have a number of protons or a number of electrons and neutrons. So if I have 14 electrons, how many protons do I have? 14. If I know my number of protons is 14, what's my atomic number? 14. Okay, but we're not going to minus because now we need to figure out the atomic number, right? So instead of subtracting, now what do we need to do with the neutrons and the protons? We need to add them. So we're going to add 14 plus 14, and that's going to be 28. Okay? So I want you guys to work on completing pages 3, 4, and 5. You guys should actually be pretty good at doing this. It should be pretty easy. Remember, there are always how many numbers that are going to be the same? 3. Your atomic number, your protons, and your electrons are always the same. Okay? Go ahead, get started.